Well, hello and good evening to ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls from around the world. I am your host this evening, Captain at Soko, right here at NECC Rocket League, but I am not in the booth alone. Oh no, I am joined by the one and only Hyperia. Hyperia, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to this, mate. It's another week, another day of a collegiate Rocket League, and we should have some absolute slappers coming up.
Absolutely. When we're talking about collegiate Rocket League, you got to keep in mind these are some of the best up and comers in the scene, especially when we talk about bubble scene potential players to go on and, of course, move further into the Rocket League esports scene and maybe even RLCS. So keep in mind that the players that we see today could be the pros of tomorrow, Hyperia.
That's the important part, right? It's one of those opportunities that you get to play against it on a competition level, because often what you see with people who enjoy ranked and are incredible at that, they don't actually stay up to par when they are faced with competition because of either nerves. And this is great to get those grassroots scene going and prepare yourself for the battle that's going to be happening later on.
Absolutely. And a lot that transpires here goes on to help progress these players for the future. And I'm going to name drop a little bit just because I know from where I'm from over here in Louisiana, especially, towards like the Baton Rouge, New Orleans area, we have one particular player that went the distance. Ajax, former high school esports player, went on to play for LSU esports and then went on to play for E United in the pro scene. So we don't know what type of talent will be lurking here with us today, but only one way to find out as we get game number one between RMC Varsity and Murray St. Blue.
Are shining a light on the shadows that they were in. RMC Varsity and Murray, they've both yet to get a win. Varsity, they might have, but they have not confirmed their previous week's results just yet. On week two, Murray, they got swept by Cumberland Phoenix. That always hurts. That always is tough. When you come into a week, the previous one you got swept.
Now, you see, I feel like a buffoon because at first glance, I thought that was Murray St. Blue. That's state, isn't it? It's Murray State, right?
It is state indeed, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, nah. I honestly went with Saint as well.
Oh, well, guess
Ooh,
what? It's
first.
absolutely, it's going to be Murray State Blue. Corrected, not St. Blue, but they're going to be dropping one shot here to start us off 1-0 early.
That's the start you like to see after you've gotten swept. That's exactly what you need to come back. And confidence is always a thing I like to talk about, perhaps too often, because it is so pivotal to your success in this game. If you're able to successfully place your confidence, you don't want to you don't want to overdo it. But if you're successfully able to read when you beat your opponents, as Eternal goes for a short one, proven through there.
Yeah, not to mention, when you're coming out swinging like that, you're really setting the tone for the entire match. Maybe not the entire series, but you're putting on some good momentum early. So good on Murray State to get that early goal lead. Like you said, especially coming off of a sweep previously, they really want to be able to turn things around and help better that record.
And they're slowly doing that 180. At least they've set the first degree. Cheese Master storming on through, but Eternal stopping him right at the grassroots state. Into the midfield. That's an open net. All of a sudden, with the bump coming through as well, preventing that open net to be converted. Trissy up early. That is helpful from Eternal to clear it wide.
Yeah, I like to see the pre-jumps, and don't get me wrong, I like when they unfold, and I like when they're done correctly, but if you're not careful, the pre-jump might just be the thing that gets you scored on, because only one quick split decision can turn a pre-jump into a double commit, and oh boy, do we like to punish those.
Or the misread on the pre-jump as well. You can pre-jump a ball, but it bounces different than you were expecting. Scorchy's going to quickly hurry back. Cheese Master beaten out too. There's the double commit you were talking about, the counter-attack. It's what it was, so that counter-attack should be relatively eased up here for RMC.
Yep, now that we approach halftime with 2 minutes and 30 remaining here in game number one, it's Murray State to continue to hold on to that 1-goal lead. But Big City Slams nearly rectified that, but the shot was nearly off target. Now going back again to keep up the pressure is RMC Varsity as they continue to put shot and shot on target, but none finding the back of the net.
If you do that, it's just a matter of time to break through, and they're continuously ripping them on target. Eternal trying to soar on through, but not in the second tap. So it's going wide. Squirt to carry it all the way into the side wall as Lee loses control of the ball, unfortunately, as an Eternal is able to take over midfield shot. Big City Slams double tap. Yes, sir. That's what you like to see from Big City Slams.
Absolutely. Nothing like a big city slam dunk to tie the game up at 1 right here. And of course, the bump play coming to fruition as we saw somebody from the varsity team over there at RMC Varsity was able to get into the faces of the goalie and really just be a nuisance. I don't even know if it was a clear demo or bump, but just enough to knock the defense around a little and create the space needed to get that goal and tie us back at 1.
Getting them slapped about, the bumps, the demos, they could be useful here as well, as they don't break through the defense that RMC is setting up. They're holding solidly against Morena 50, sending it all the way down the other end. That leaves Scorched in a bit of a compromised position. Eternal with a shot now. It's going to go wide as Murray needs to break away from this pressure quickly. They don't really seem like they actually withstand pressure that easily. As a miss comes through, they clear it out, but only with a panic.
Yep, now RMC Eternal has an opportunity here. We'll get the up and over, and we'll eventually find the back of the net. They will now switch this game around and take the lead away, and now they will lead 2-1.
Now, this game has turned around pretty massively. First, it was Murray to open up the score, and after that, they've been rather quiet and trying to park the bus. They need to unpark that and put it in forward again to make sure they facilitate themselves to come back. Otherwise, they could be staring down another sweep. That's still far away from happening. 50 seconds left. You don't really need to worry about that just yet.
Well, they need to begin to worry as we get 45 seconds remaining on the clock, and Murray State still down 1 goal. They're going to have to equalize soon if they want to avoid a defeat here in game number 1, as Trissy is me is going to pass this over to the Cheese Master. And now back up into the sky it will go as RMC Varsity look to put another one on target, and this one will go up way up high, and no one coming from the varsity team to clean that one up. Big City Slams with an unfortunate tactical whiff to leave for Eternal, just as I say, oh, this is a whiff, this is a mishap. Nope, that whiff was tactical. RMC Eternal comes through to put that one in the upper 90 and give their team the 2-goal cushion.
21 seconds left. That 2-goal lead is pivotal to their game. It's looking like they've just got this locked up, and a long ball all the way down the other end. He needs to keep it out, and does do so, and down into the midfield. With that goal not landing for Murray, I think we can put an end to this first game, and Murray, they're going to need to try again.
Well, I don't know. There might be a little bit of a pulse left here. Don't get me wrong. It's only 4 seconds to go. Not a lot of time to get on the board. But if they manage to pull off a kickoff goal, they might just salvage this game 1 yet, as they score that last second goal to make the scoreline 3-2. It all comes down to this.
Some extra spice added. They've made it possible with a long ball all the way down into the orange half. It's Varsity who do take that first game in a pivotal one, and they actually turn it around, and that's a crucial point that we should be focusing on. It was a win, but they've managed to turn around. That shows a strong mental.
Absolutely, and I like what I saw coming out from Murray State, because don't get me wrong, they took that early goal lead and then gave it quite away right around halftime, around that 2-minute 30 mark. But the way they went down swinging, you know, they gave it their best effort. They were able to get another goal on the board to bring them back within 1. And if that kickoff had gone in their favor, they might have been able to tie that game up. So still, kudos to them, and I can see them coming back even stronger as we get ready to head into game number 2.
And that's what you like out of the team. You want to see them evolve throughout the series and really start grinding it out, start adapting to your opponents as well. But Murray, it's time to adapt majorly. What you did wasn't working, except for at the very get-go, but that's a good workaround from Cheese Master into the center. But Trissy should be able, and keyword should, as he was not able to, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, and again, we're just seeing some double commits come out on the field, but the kickoff did just occur. Not everybody's in the proper rotations yet. They have yet to fall in their positions, so things are a little awry at the moment as we see yet another unfortunate whiff. But now Scorched, going off the backboard, has the opportunity, but the clear will come through for RMC Varsity, as now it will be Big City Slams to get the miss there, and another shot going absolutely wide and right on back to the side.
And it's so annoying if you're into the attack and one lone clear over the top sends you into the defensive end for what feels like a minute or so right now. Murray, they had an attack going, is one clear, and they do set up another one here. It's a clear over the top by Murray. Pop back mid. Big City Slams riding underneath. Eternal will take over on the clear away. That's two players going in the demo play, or the bump play might just be happening with a lone clear. Now going down all the way down the other end, and it's Trissy who keeps it up the goal line.
And don't get me wrong, that was a great play by Murray State just now. Getting the long ball, getting the clear, nearly putting that on target, but hold the phone. Another shot will go on, this time for RMC Varsity. But the thing with Murray State is that we're seeing a lot of isolated solo plays, but they need to involve a lot more teamwork. I'm seeing too many double commits come from their side, and I would really like to see them strike back in this scoreline that tie the series 1-1. But if they're gonna do it, they have got to start working together.
Well, this is working together. Not quite. They don't glue it together all the way. It's still wonky on the side of Murray. On the side of RMC, they've not been able to combine their power either to get this out of defense. Trissy, that's a pass back right back into Scorch. Won't be able to rip one, and that's a good patience play there by Big City Slams. It will still land on target. What is happening here for RMC?
That to me looked like a little bit of mind game and mind trickery. Look at the real DRSO3 right here, going up and high, pretended like they were going to get the secondary touch, faking out the goalie. And then the poor goalie's like, what do I do? Do I hit the player? Do I play the ball? I don't know what's going to happen. So unfortunately for the defense there, they literally froze in their place. But if you recall game number 1, Hyperia, it was Murray State that had the 1 goal lead and eventually fell 2-1 in the overall score line. So RMC Varsity still very much in it.
Oh my, they already had an opportunity here at RMC. They're not relinquishing. They're not relenting. They want to push on through, but instead is Murray down the other end. Trissy missing the clear of the backboard, but unfortunately for Murray, a follow-up shot also gone awry. Scorch still carrying it all the way through. Trissy goes wide with it. Scorch hurrying back to try and take this ball under control, goes to the scrapyard instead. Trissy, that's a good workaround now. Pass off mid, Eternal's up for it, and that's a great combination on the side of RMC.
Yep, and this was a very well-developed team play. Of course, you got Trissy going up towards the middle and then passing it right there to a waiting RMC Eternal. And what shows me with that type of goal is clear communication. We saw Trissy take that one from the corner up and around the goal and then just waited for RMC Eternal, who they knew was already there, to send that one home. Good team play coming from RMC Varsity.
This is an awkward tap. Big City Slam still able to control it. RMC, they're looking solid. It's one of those ones where right now it doesn't matter whatsoever for RMC that they have that bad start, because they've been able to bring it back. But there will come a time where their bad start won't be able to get the comeback and facilitate it for themselves. So they really need to be careful and be switched on from the get-go, because Murray, they can also have a good back end.
Yeah, but that's the same on the same token. You got Murray State, who scores early like they did in game number 1, but didn't do much after halftime. You gotta play both sides of the coin here, not just in the first half. You gotta play the second half as well. And if they're not careful, RMC Varsity could be coming out with another win here in game number 2. But until then, we are still all evened at 1, as nearly that shot misses and will go the other way.
Eternal was patient. That's actually biting them in the behind, but the shot gone wide. Oh my word, Scorch still landing on it somehow, forcing it through, but this is a play you don't really expect.
Oh, I gotta tell you, that right there, that's 100% calculated. 100%. Oh yeah. Full intentional right there. Classic backboard read off the crossbar at what, 90 kilometers per hour? Yeah, no, that was fully intentional, 100% calculated, and I gotta say, that's a highlight reel worthy GIF Your Game top 10 tier shot. So congratulations to Murray State on hitting that well formulated and calculated play.
And that actually pulls them ahead as well. Unfortunately, they don't want to get this any time wasted. Just bang it on through, but RMC, they're being stopped at the goal line. Eternal with yet another one, and that is calculated as well. 46 seconds, and we're all tied up.
We're literally seeing the two different types of Rocket League. The cool highlight reel insane shots, and then just classic textbook pass plays coming from RMC Eternal, who once again was playing the midfield, biding their time, waiting for the opportunity to strike, and found an opening. Nothing too fancy, spectacular, no flippery doo-dah Philip reset, but just a good, well-placed shot, and just like that, we're tied back at 2.
Trissy, be careful. Eternal. You want to carry that wide. Eternal sticking close to the play, not wanting to let up any pressure from Murray. And that actually does end up costing them pressure. The bounce might be on target, but it will be slow enough. The Cheese Master can catch it. Big City slams, challenge immediately. Eternal still to the back where Big City slams into the center. This is a dangerous commit if Trisha wants to go for it. Decides against it, and that's probably for the better here for RMC Varsity, who are looking to close out this game in the regulation time. They're spending a lot of time in the attacking half, but Eternal, that's all the way down to their back end, and now they're going to have to defend. Goes wide, Big City slams. This should be hitting the ground, and it does. Overtime game number 2.
Here we go. This is what we like to see, all tied at 2 and going into extra minutes as this overtime is officially underway as Big City Slams is going to take this one out the corner only to be returned by Murray State as this one will go up high, not catching the waterfall quite, but Eternal will hit this one down and nearly at a costly touch that might have been, but an off-target shot will save the day, and lucky for RMC Varsity that one did not find the back of the net.
City slams. He wants to find the opposite back of the net, though. That goal mouth, he wants to put it agape. Eternal. And the ball from going any further down the line. Trissy, midfield. Cheese Masters with a weak shot, so it's Big City Slams just lings it all the way down the other end. Big City Slams has to follow up himself. That's on target, but off the crossbar it goes, and a good pinch away. A counter-attack by Murray. Seems started.
Big City Slams now taking control of the midfield, and I like what I'm seeing so far. I mean, the rotations for the most part at the midfield have been pretty on point from both teams. No team really given too much opportunity for the opposition to strike, but no opportunity will be needed as RMC Varsity will create their own. A nice redirect pass play and what we will call a tactical whiff to leave it for Big City Slams to find the lower 90 and win game number 2 in overtime.
Oh my, RMC, they do it again. They have a deficit somehow. They manage to flip it around and win this game outright. That puts them on a position where they can complete the sweep. And Murray, they're going to have flashbacks to that last week where they also got swept. And that's always, if you start doubting yourself, if this starts being into the back of your mind, you're going to be in trouble. So just move it out somehow, pluck it out, and just throw it away.
Yeah, they really need to try and come up with a plan to be effective throughout the entire game and not just in the first couple of seconds, couple of minutes, because this is the second time in a row where we saw Murray State score early and then lose all type of momentum. They literally lost all the gas in the tank and they weren't able to continue the fight, and they go down once again in overtime. Well, in game number 2 in overtime, but they lose game number 2 and now are even that much closer to getting swept.
RMC, they have listened to my advice and their start is looking solid, but they're still not being able to break through, and that's the main part. Doesn't matter how solid your start is, how much pressure you have, is if it's Murray down the other end to score first. They've got a lot of space now, scores all the way down the left end. Eternal has to turn for it. And the real Doctors missing it. Eternal, actually, that's an open net. If he can be quick enough, a good blockage there with Cheese Master and the follow-up as well.
Yep, and right now, like you said, Big City Slams turning on the gas and doing a lot of offense and a lot of damage. They're constantly peppering the back of the net, putting shots on target and controlling the corner. And from what I could tell, they're pretty much exhausting the defense of Murray State as finally they will break out of their own half and put the pressure on RMC Varsity.
They're exhausting the defense capabilities where they don't even have the option to defend anymore when they don't have enough boost. The breakaways by Murray thus far have been exquisite. Trissy with a double tap sends it incredibly far wide, which is even more impressive than to actually place that between the posts.
Yep, now coming out of the corner is going to be Trissy is me. And now RMC Eternal with a tactical whiff there is now Scorched. Has an opportunity to put it on target, but the shot goes high and wide. And what coulda, shoulda, woulda been a goal there for Murray State will just go down by the wayside.
Down to the right flank, Big City Slams takes it under closer inspection. Scorched Decides he doesn't want to touch that play into the midfield. That's a good pass and an even better shot by Big City Slams to put RMC up by 1.
And this is something that we've seen from RMC all match long. They're not just long lobbing the ball, clearing it to the other side of the field and giving possession away. When they get a long clear, more often than not, their teammate is there lurking and waiting. We've seen this with RMC Eternal several times, waiting in the midfield, and this time it was Big City Slams to catch that pass, get the redirect, and put it on target. And RMC Varsity has now come to a point where they have perfected this midfield pass play, and they're going to use that to get the 1-goal lead here.
RMC, it's a good breakaway with Cheesemaster. He's been solid on the back end time and time again, preventing RMC to advance any further. Can they do it again as Eternal goes to the back for the second tap, sending it down and wide? Not the option or not the direction that Eternal was looking for. Big City Slams, he does get it into the box. Tracer with a pre-flip, almost getting that in, but still whipping it up. Back pass. Also facilitated with the second tap, not necessarily read by RMC and Trissy. He's going to have to back down. Double commit by RMC, and that's Trissy all the way lonesome on the back end. Cheesemaster, oh no, they had a double commit and they touched the ball.
Like we were saying, as the time continues to tick away, RMC Varsity just riding the wave of momentum as the 2-minute warning is approaching, and now it looks like we nearly had a Rule 1 going down in the Murray State goal, but it will be neglected and avoided. No Rule 1s happening here.
But Big City Slams, he might just make this 2-0. Decides to fake it out, and then the pass off mid. Clear away to Big City Slams. He's actually the only one back from defense. That's a double commit on the side of RMC. A shot coming through, but Eternal. I've gotten demoed thus. He is already back into the rotation with Murray. They still need to put their hunting gloves on to make sure they facilitate themselves this comeback.
And again, we're seeing just the pass plays coming out for RMC Varsity this time, going towards the corners. But it looked like Murray State has had enough of those cheeky pass plays, and they're defending it pretty well, as now Scorch is going to battle out into the midfield, and they will lose the 50-50 to RMC Eternal, who's going to be putting this one into the corner. And now coming out for Murray State, it will be touched down by Trissy and picked up by Eternal. They will get the second go-ahead goal.
Varsity, they start stacking up those goals, and at some point it will be out of hand. And they might just nibble away at the lead on the side of Murray. That's at least a start. They're going to have to go. Well, I don't really see it happening. They've been shut out relatively solidly on the side of RMC. They've not let anything go through, but then they do find a way through, and it's still gone awry. They still get back in time. Murray, they're not lethal.
Yep, now here comes Eternal, looking to pad the stats a little more, but it will be broken up. And now a demo looking to be found, but none here, as it will be Big City Slams to get the up and over to avoid the danger. But the shot not going on target, as this is going to go back towards the corner. And now Scorched looking to break out of their own half, and will, as this goes off the backboard, scoring opportunity. But Big City Slams is there to send that one down, as Trissy will get a demo to take on the road.
Oh, that might be it, and that will be it. Surely with 27 seconds remaining, the entire way this matchup has been going. This shot by Trissy, intricate Scorch caught off guard entirely in the cut infield by Trissy, pulled off to perfection.
Not to mention, Trissy also got the demo right before that, so taking out the goalie in advance while awaiting a pass, I'm not gonna lie, that's some big brain plays, and Big City Slam is going to continue to pad the stats off of this kickoff goal, beating both defenders on the kickoff, threading the needle and putting a grounder into the back of the net, making it 4-0 in favor of RMC Varsity.
That's just not what you expect to be happening. If you're cheating up there on the kickoff, you expect the ball to be hit. Realistically, for Murray, I hope they're not too harsh on themselves in that regard, because the game site was not going to change. The story had already been told, and further adaptation might be made in later weeks. But for now, Murray, they're going to have to accept they got swept yet again.
Unfortunate, feels bad, man, but if I was Murray State, and as a matter of fact, this goes for any team that goes down in a series, whether you're swept or where you lost by 1 goal. The fact of the matter is that when you're finished with these games, when it's all said and done, you need to go back, you need to watch the replays, not only to watch what you did wrong, but to watch what the other team did right. Because although that we did see mistakes on both sides of the ball, RMC Eternal's pass plays is what won those games. Every single time they were short, quick, and to the point, working the midfield and getting around the defense. And unfortunately, what it seemed like to me coming out from the side of Murray State, it was really a instead of a 3v3, we saw a 3v1 v1 v1 because Murray State was not playing as a team. It just seemed to me it came off as three players playing against a team of three, and unfortunate it did not lead up to a win here for Murray State.
There were some overcommits, sure, on the side of RMC, but it wasn't to the extent that Murray were overcommitting, and the space left in the midfield oftentimes utilized to perfection, to a T by RMC, so they were able to move through and kind of outplay you consistently while themselves stay within possession. They done that very well. Not give the ball to Murray when they don't really have to.
Yep, and just like that, the first series is in the books, and congratulations to RMC for coming out with an impressive victory 3-0 over Murray State. But for those of you at home, do not go anywhere, because we have some more Collegiate Rocket League coming your way right after this break. Well, hello and welcome back to NECC Rocket League. I am your host, Captain Atsoka, and I will be here for a good portion of the day. But we had to say so long and farewell to Hyperia, but it's okay because we got somebody just as good joining me in the booth right now. It's going to be Berkeley.
Man, I'm hoping to be just as good as Hyperia. I'm a Phil, but I am happy to be here, Capped. Honestly, Emergence Division, this should be a pretty playground offense kind of game. What are you looking to see tonight?
Well, I'm hoping to see some good, high-strung fighting coming out from both of these teams. Why? Is because they both have one loss on their record, and I can only imagine that they don't want another one tonight. In this matchup here, we're going to have the Emergence White team versus... Oh, I'm sorry. It's going to be Center College versus Bethel University, and game number one is already underway, Berkeley.
Yeah, we're just going to be flying right on into it. Right here we got Ayers Rock just kind of chasing the ball around. A lot of high-flying plays so far going up off the wall, but it looks like this one is just kind of teetering back and forth in the attacking zone for Central College right now.
And right now, Bethel University doing a little bit good, getting their first dub against South Alabama Red. And I got to say, that team is nothing to wave a stick at, so that's going to be a pretty good dub. So hopefully they'll be carrying that momentum here in this game against Bethel. But on the side of Bethel University, they are going to have to overcome this Central College team who is still looking to get their first win on the board.
Both these colleges, too, have such a great esports program, Capped. I mean, Bethel just comes off an NECC Overwatch championship, and I know their Rocket League program is pretty highly touted. Pretty low division here in the Emergence, but definitely a very, high talented roster. They've got 7 members on their roster, so they've got a lot of players to choose from throughout the game.
And honestly, having that deep pocket of a roster is so beneficial because we talk about, the standard 3v3, maybe you have that one bench player, but I'm telling you, I've seen time and time again these high-tiered Rocket League teams fall short because they don't have enough players on the bench, but none will be needed here as Bears Rock is going to be the one to put this one into the back of the net, giving their team the 1-goal lead a little early.
Yeah, right there in the slot, high crease shot there for Bears Rock, and he does not miss that attempt. 3:40 to go here in our first game. Bethel up 1-0. They're looking to keep this one going and find the next goal soon.
Well, let's see if Center is going to have anything to say about that as I'll see that name again later. Loaf Pedal now going up for a challenge here in the corner is going to get beat out as this one goes down into the side for Bears Rock 22-12, but will get beat by Pop again as now Verdict's Peanut misses a touch there to lose possession and now falling into the danger of Bethel, but it will be the defense who gets up quick to clear this one out.
Legacy trying to bring that one out there, but it gets challenged back down to midfield. Peanut now going in, crashing against the boards, rings it off the glass, but it looks like the defense is there for Central College to clear it on out. And now Loaf Pedal trying to get this one down in the corner. Might actually have a pass here from Panzer. It's out toward the center, but well defended by Bethel to clear it along.
Now, you see, you would think that it would be Centered with the 1-goal early lead the way that they're playing right now. Unfortunately, they weren't playing this way in the first few seconds because they are still down 1-0 in favor of Bethel, nearly 2-0. But luckily for Center, their defense is going to hold on strong.
That was a good little rip we saw there from Bears Rock, but just a great save coming along in the bottom left corner of the net. Now a good opportunity here for Loaf Pedal, but beaten to the ball there by another defender.
And here we go. It's Panzer now getting a 50-50 beat there, taking this one out to the corner of Bethel territory, going up high, looking for the midfield pass. Doesn't have a lot of boost to work with, and a double commit will make all that effort for naught as now the ball finds its way back to center territory.
Pop Tropical with a good save there as that one was heading toward his net with a lot of speed. Now it's going to be Loaf Pedal contesting this one. Gets the demo here. Ball rings around toward the center, but Legacy is there with the response. High shot here goes in for Legacy, and Bethel takes the 2-0 lead.
Well, I gotta say, Bethel definitely performing well so far, getting the early game momentum in as that nice shot towards the upper 90 is going to give their team the 2-0 lead. But still, plenty of time remaining on the clock for Sinners to find themselves to try and get on the board.
Yeah, 1:45 cap, plenty of time on the clock to play in our first match. 2 goals can happen in just a couple of seconds. Honestly, you can get a face-off goal in 6 seconds. So as long as Center get back in this game with, let's say, 15 seconds, this one's still wide open.
Absolutely. I've seen kickoff goals happen in a matter of 3
Oh,
seconds and nearly put on there, but will go down by the wayside. And now back into center territory. And we got a little bit of bumping going out into the corner, leaving a
what
shot,
a
but
save.
not in the back of the net. What a save indeed. Center's defense still doing the job, but they're going to have to get the job done on offense if they try to get this game equalized.
Capt, I love that save there by Loaf Pedal too. It's Emergence Division. You can speak to it more than I can in the NECC Rocket League action, but how much do you actually see players in this division resetting off the wall like that to get back in the net and respond to a shot?
Don't get me wrong, it was nothing short of spectacular, some good mechanical work for sure. But with that being said, they have got to get it done on the offensive side, and finally they do. They will get their first goal on the board and has broken this lead only to 1 goal.
You love to cut it in half right there. Panzer firing the cannon with a close range shot. Doesn't miss the mark there. Bears Rock, Napier Legacy, and Panzer are the scorers in this one. 45 seconds to go, and this one just got interesting.
Absolutely. With 40 seconds left on the clock, still plenty of time to equalize, but time is not on the favor of Center. And Bethel looking to just run this one out and maybe keep to the offensive side of things. It's where they've been successful. It's where they keep being successful. And hopefully they can keep the ball out of the hands of the center team. But they cannot, as Pop Tropic will put this one into the back of the net to tie us back up at 2.
Pop Tropical, the only one hanging around the slot. It looked like all the Bethel goaltenders were out in the corners there after saving a flurry of shots. And Pop Tropic just takes advantage of the space given to him and ties this one up with 20 seconds to go. We could be headed to overtime here in game number 1.
And that's exactly what I would want to see. I want to go into overtime in game number 1. It's some of my favorite Rocket League to play because players break out all the stops as soon as you put their backs against the wall. And when you're in OT, all bets are off as we approach the final seconds of this game number 1 until we head to extra minutes. And there you have it. We will be having OT in game number 1.
Face-off going to be crucial here. I mean, this one could actually spill either way in just a matter of seconds, but it's going to be Pop Tropical dangerously throwing this one across his own goal, but it looks like he's able to clear it out and along the right side. Safe for now, and they're able to get a shot off, but it doesn't quite find the target. That one, though, does for Panzer, and Central College comes back down 2-0, and they steal game number 1.
And they made a massive comeback. Center just scored 3 unanswered goals. That is absolutely insane. What a comeback from Center, and congratulations on the game 1 dub. I'm pretty sure on the other side over at Bethel, they're going to be looking at that game and kicking themselves for letting a 2-0 lead slide right on by.
Yeah, Captain, I'm not going to lie. That was like the least disappointing Rocket League I've ever seen, especially first game casting NECC Rocket League for me. I mean, starting with a bang. I love what these two teams are doing. I'm glad we got a tight contest right from the get.
Absolutely. And not to mention, this is just game number 1. This is game number 1, Berkeley. We still got plenty of Rocket League left to go. And if this is a tall tale sign of anything, is that this is going to be a close series as we get ready to head into game number 2. But with that being said, I want to see a little bit more coming from Bethel. They took the lead early, were able to get 2-0, which is amazing, but they just couldn't finish. So they need to tighten up the screws a little bit and get their game going, especially in the late game.
Yeah, the late game is what matters most. It seemed like Bethel got just a little bit too comfortable there, and once overtime was heading their way, it seemed like they just kind of felt the pressure of that first game, but they got to remember, they were in the driver's seat for the first 3 minutes there, so they can still come to this game and bang. I'm pretty excited to see what they got going this next time around.
Well, let's see what they do. They're going to be on the offensive side of things so far as the ball heads its way right back towards an open net, but the shot not quite on target. Loaf Pedal going to be hitting the sidebar there, and now it's going to be Panzer 0903 to take this one towards the midfield as the follow-up from Bethel will put this one into center territory. Now Bears Rocks going up high, looking for a shot, going to do a little aerial acrobatics, only to get denied by the center defense.
Pretty technical play, too, coming out there from Bears Rock. Almost found the mark, but not quite. Pop Tropical now just going up for something cheeky off the high glass, but doesn't really get much of a centering attempt there. Looks like Bethel's going to have an easy time clearing this one out. Maybe a shot attempt. Peanut not able to get the opportunity.
Unfortunate there, because going up against this team, clearly you're going to need every opportunity you can get. But hey, let's create some opportunities as well with a couple of demos on the board. That is what I like to see, some physical, hard-hitting Rocket League, and they are doing it well so far. Unfortunately, though, have yet to find a goal for either side, but finally, we get one on the board from Bears Rock, who's going to score the first goal of the game and put their team up 1-0.
Bears Rock with a great little turnaround shot there. Two goaltenders there for the save, but Bears Rock with that quick shot right in a well-placed spot. Top right corner, just cheeses Center College, opens the lead up 1-0 for Bethel.
Now Center find themselves in a similar position, because it wasn't too long ago that they were down 2-0 in game number 1, but were able to mount a comeback. So let's see if Bethel will be able to really turn the tide and hold on to the lead here in game number 2. As this one's going to go up high towards the center and now heading toward a lonely net with just Panzer there and waiting, able to get past Peanut. And now Bears Rock with an uncharacteristic whiff. It's not like them to whiff too many.
No, Bears Rock is tied with Panzer for the leading scorer in this lobby, but Panzer just takes that lead right back. Now he's got 3 goals to Bears Rock's 2. And this is a great shot here, just coming off with a great read off the corner glass. Finding the shot, the target, no goalie in the way there. Winning the 50-50 race, and now it's all tied up with 3:10 to go.
Well, here we go. We said it, and it was foretold that Center was going to strike back, and strike back they have with just over 3 minutes to go. We are tied at 1, and now Bears Rock getting a flick and a swish to get past one defender. Can they get past 2? No! It's going to be a fantastic save to clear this one away, and Center is able to hold off the offense, if only for a little bit.
Op Tropical, he does seem like he's been the goaltender for Central College most of the night so far. Leading the last game with 4 saves, already picking up 2 in this one so far. I mean, he's really the staple back there on the defensive end for Central College.
Not to mention, when you get those, like, clutch saves and you're constantly in the net shutting down the offense, that can also lead to fast break pass plays for your team. So you can use that to transition your defense into offense, which is why it's important to have a good anchor. But unfortunately for Bears Rock, that anchor came untied, pulled out a little bit too far from the net, and this ball was just out of their reach.
And Capped, I love how this one is trading back and forth. The scoring race between the strikers, Panzer and Bears Rock, definitely something to keep an eye on tonight as we go forward in the next couple of games.
Absolutely. Now, this is where we saw Bethel make the mistakes in game number 1, not holding on to the lead, scoring 2 goals and then stopping. But let's see if they can change the tail here and get another one on the board to get their team the 2-goal cushion. Or will Center's defense hold on strong? No, they will not. Napier Legacy is able to take this one by themselves and thread the needle to find the upper 90 and give their team the 2-goal cushion.
Napier Legacy just slices that low angle shot far side, beating 2 goaltenders. That was a beautiful shot there from the side of Bethel.
Absolutely. Now with 2 minutes remaining, still plenty of time for Center to equalize, but they are going to have to slow things down and start making some more precise, calculated pass plays instead of these 1-2 give and goes that only lead up to being saved and cleared away by Bethel.
That's a good point, Cap. I don't think we've seen it a lot this game where a team might leave an attacker lingering in the offensive zone for a long stretch pass from the defending end. We see like a lot more just 3-member crashing style of offense. I haven't seen too much of that. Just lob, pass it down, go for a redirect. And I would wonder if either team kind of adapts their strategy later in this one. Almost a great shot there from Bearsock, finds the twine, but instead gets contested.
Now it's going to be Vert Peanut to try and go for a solo play, but it's an easy clear coming from Panzer. Panzer now with a lot of control, has just a little boost to work with, but now not so much. Loaf Pedal is going to take their turn, going up high and towards the corner. And I got to say, Center loves getting these pass plays out of the corner. It's their bread and butter. It's how they end up on the board, on the scoreboard more often than not. But I think Bethel has now caught on to that trend and is able to defend it properly.
Yeah, it is much easier to read the ball coming out of the corner on defense, too. You can really play the low angle with confidence if you are the goaltender in the net. A shot from the slot is much harder to read if they're going to go left, if they're going to go right, high or low. If it comes high off the glass in the corner, you can usually place your bets pretty well on where the attacker is trying to come from.
And with only 30 seconds left on the board, Sinner is going to have to figure something out. But with shots like that, it's going to be that much harder to try and equalize. As now only 28 seconds remain, and it will be the center team who are down by 3.
Yeah, Napier Legacy going up high for the aerial there. That one does come off the corner, and like I said, usually it's easier to read, but that one you notice the difference was the pass was so high off the back wall. That turns the goaltender's camera up. He has no idea where the offenders are crashing from, and there you just can't really get a good read on Napier Legacy. He puts the shot home on the far side of the goalie.
Well, talking about good reads, it appears to me that here in game number 2, Bethel has read the center playbook like a pop-out book and played it to a T, as now they are looking to get a consolation goal just to pad the stats a little bit more. But as the clock has officially hit 0, it is safe to say that Bethel will be the winners here in game number 2, and just like that, we have ourselves an even scoreline in the series, 1 win apiece.
I love it. Bethel makes this one even more interesting than it was after game number 1, tying it up 1 game apiece. Game 3, there's so much weight on it. Both of these teams playing with some fire. Capped, what have you noticed so far in these two teams?
Well, it kind of seems like we're flipping the script a little bit. Like in the first game, of course, we saw a little bit more possession control coming from center. But then in game number 2, it kind of seemed like Bethel saw what they were doing at the midfield because they were really playing slow, taking their time and taking all the control to get those pass plays developed at the midfield. But Bethel stepped it up in game number 2 and started breaking it up at the midfield. They weren't playing as conserved. They weren't playing as far back. They were intercepting passes at the mid and then turning that into offense, where they were able to find the back of the net numerous amount of times. So now it's going to be on center to try and adapt to Bethel. So we're going to have to see some quick thinking on the side of center if they want to try and take this lead back in the series.
Yeah, that's a really good point you bring up, Cap, too, where it looked like Bethel was kind of hanging back with almost 2 goaltenders for much of game number 1, and they kind of just felt the pressure pile up on them, especially later in that game. Opening up here, though, is going to be Peanut getting his first goal of the game, and so early in game number 3, right off the face-off. What a bounce.
Absolutely. A beautiful pinch coming out of the midfield, and it falls in favor of Peanut and Bethel. But guess what? Calculated or not, it says in Rocket League Proverbs, verse 34, stanza 28, that we take those.
We absolutely take those. Peanut, especially his first one of the night, gets the monkey off his back. That's got to be feeling great, especially in such a close game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate when we look at the stats because the stats do tell the tale, but not the whole story. And we've seen a little, not much, of course, coming from the lead kickoff scorer there, but it's good to see them come through and get a goal on the board, finally get a little bit of recognition, even if it is off of a kickoff goal. So good to see them coming out in a major way here in game number 3 when their team might just need them the most.
Oh, great save there in the back of the net. But yeah, to your point, I mean, everyone on these teams, I mean, this is collegiate esports. This is not your ranked ladder. Everyone here has a role. I'm sure that Peanut is probably his team's goaltender for the most part, but they're called upon on the faceoff, gets that calculated bounce, as you're saying, and absolutely, he'll take those. Napier Legacy going up for a follow-up attempt, but Pop Tropical, the goaltender for Center College, able to make the save.
Yeah, and unfortunately with plays and players like Peanut, they don't get enough recognition as they deserve. So when they do finally get the pop off, it's nice to see. Speaking of popping off, there's a demo going inside the Bethel net just now, but unfortunately for Center, it led to naught as they still have yet to find the back of the board. 1-0. Again, this is the 3rd game in a row that we saw Bethel take a 1-goal early lead against Center.
Oh, Panzer with a hard shot there, unable to find that top right corner. Still, though, a centering attempt for Pop Tropic, but doesn't quite find it as Peanut is there to defend. Now trying to clear it out for the side of Bethel. Gets it down. Bearsock is in the other end, but it looks like this one will just be thwarted on into the corner.
Yep, good old Bearsock is going to be taking control here at the midfield. He's going to get the up and over one. Is going to take this one all the way to the other side of the pitch. Is going to get the touch there, but will get bumped out of the way for their efforts as Napier Legacy not finding the ball there is going to get a tactical whiff instead, and the ball will finally get out of center territory and back towards the Bethel half.
I was hoping you wouldn't catch it, Cap. I've been wanting to call him Bearsock all game, just under the radar.
How can I not notice? This one is too big, this one is too small, but this bear sock fits just right as a shot going all the way downfield gets saved and cleared away, and we have officially reached halftime at 2 minutes and 25.
Loaf Pedal, the goaltender for Center College, another one right back there a lot of these games with Pop Tropic, and it seems like, I mean, they're not on the score sheet yet, but I've seen them fly off the sidewall numerous times and come in for swooping saves that have kept Bethel off the board for the most part. But Center College, even though they're playing great defense to this point, they've got to find the offense to click here in the last 2 minutes.
I agree, because I'll be honest with you, I'm a defensive player. I love playing defense. I like making my defense become offense, and I like the transition plays. And you see a lot of teams that play this way, especially in the RLCS. They will play very conservative. They will play to the back for the most part, get their saves, but then their transition game is where they shine, and that's how they're able to find the back of the net. But unfortunately right now for Center, their transitions have not been very speedy and have not been on point, which is why they remain scoreless here in game number 3.
Wolf Pedal with a high shot there, but Napier Legacy kind of contested up in that top right corner. And like you were saying, Cap, playing conservative. Oh, a little opportunity here for Center, doesn't go. But playing conservative, I mean, when it's a one-goal game like we have right now, you can't afford to make a mistake by being aggressive for that one goal that you need. In the waning minutes, maybe in the last minute itself, that's when you really want to ramp up the aggression. But until then, what Center College is doing here is perfectly acceptable.
It is, but unfortunately just now we saw a little bit of lack of trust there. They had a player waiting in the wing there in the midfield, and it was not received that the pass will go down by the wayside. And now back off the board again, looking for the touch. Will get it, but it's not on target, and the Bethel defense will scramble to hold on to their 1-goal lead.
That's critical. That's a last-minute mistake right there. Maybe feeling a little bit of the pressure of this close game. I mean, this is an incredibly close contest between these teams. We do know that Center College did win their last game, and it looks like they also dropped one to Maryville 1-3. So it looks like, oh, just as I'm speaking, though, Loaf Pedal gets on the board for the first time tonight. They needed one, and at no greater time, within just like 30 seconds of game number 3 ending, they tie this one up.
Yeah, that was just a sniper shot, honestly, coming from around the midfield at 158 kilometers per hour, literally putting it in the lower 90 away from both defenders. Keep in mind, they didn't just get past the opposition of the defender challenging the shot, but they got past the goalie as well. You cannot get a more precise shot than that.
No, you really can't. That one had some mustard on it. And, Capt, I got to ask you, since this is the first time we've casted together, okay, easy goal there, Napier Legacy, wide open. But as I was getting back to it, are you a miles per hour guy when you're playing Rocket League, or do you like the kilometers per hour?
I mean, I'll be honest, the default was set to miles per hour, so I didn't bother to change it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with kilometers per hour, because for those that don't know, I like to cast a little bit of the EU as well, so I'm familiar with kilometers, but if you ask me to translate miles per hour into kilometers, I'm not going to be able to do it. But regardless, I know 150 kilometers per hour is a lot. Speaking of, we don't have a lot of time left as the clock will officially hit 0, and Bethel will take game number 3, winning by only 1 goal.
Bethel did such a great job there playing the last half of that game mistake-free too. And once they got that goal, once Center College got that goal to even it up, it wasn't like game number 1 where Bethel suddenly felt the weight on their shoulders. They stayed composed. They knew the job at hand, had goaltenders back to save Central College's shots, and made sure they had an attacker to put the one that counted home.
Now, and I'm going to say something, and I open anyone to challenge. Like, between you, Berkeley, or for the people watching the chat right now, if I'm capping, say captain's capping, because let me break something down to you. What we've saw so far come from Bethel is that they like to score early. They like to score off the kickoffs. So they're able to get those early goals, and they try to hold on to the lead. Right there in game number 3, when Center answered back, you literally set up another kickoff for Bethel to take advantage of and score quickly yet again, which they did. So what that tells me is that Bethel is really good at going head-to-head and winning these 50-50s and using that to their advantage to get on the board. And that makes them a really dangerous team, because every time you score, you're setting them off for another kickoff goal. So if I'm Center right now, I need to start working on my kickoffs, and I need to start to figure out how to beat them at the 50-50 game.
Yeah, Cap, that's a really good pickup. That Bethel just comes out swinging in all of these games here. So Center College does win this opening draw. Has an opportunity there, but Loaf Pedal not able to find the mark. Bears Rock clears it along to the corner. I think if Center College can score first and put Bethel on the back foot, it doesn't look like they're comfortable being there. It looks like Center College is much more comfortable being the team playing from behind, and that is going to be the case here in game number 4 as Bears Rock puts another one in the back of the net.
Bethel just has really great recovery. They're able to take the chaos that comes with the kickoff goal, take control, and use the disadvantage that the other team has of being so disoriented from the kickoff goal, not being able to find their positions quickly, that they can find a way to get around that and put the ball into the back of the net. And once again, almost as if it was written in the stones and foretold, it will be Bethel to get that 1-goal lead under the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, and Panzer just lost his scoring lead as he was tied with Bears Rock. Bears Rock now has 4, Panzer has 3, so this is all the times that we've seen Panzer respond with a goal. Almost gets one there, but that one just doesn't quite find it. Panzer just really amps up his aggressiveness anytime Bethel goes down. You said they were the team that responds best, and I think Panzer is probably the best person in this entire lobby this game that has responded to being down.
Well, let's see if Panzer can keep that trend alive as we are underneath 4 minutes now, and Center once again facing a 1-0 deficit, as it has been in several of these games here tonight. And now a shot on will go over towards the side and back towards Panzer into the corner. A miss there, but Napier Legacy is going to swing this one right on back towards the corner, picked up by Pop Tropic, going down over into the other side of the pitch. And now Loaf Pedal getting a 50-50 again, and we know how much Bethel loves these 50-50s. If you're Center, you're really going to have to start beating them at the midfield, as a waterfall will go down, but will be cleared away, and this will find its way back into the Bethel half.
And we could see it there on just that last 50-50 battle in midfield. Bethel attacked the ball at midfield with 2 attackers, having one ready to score, one ready to fight the 50-50. And Central College just had those 2 goaltenders, so they're really letting up the pressure here. And that shot saved by Loaf Pedal just kind of continues this onslaught for the Bethel offense.
Absolutely, and I'm honestly surprised they were able to get that save. That was a complete laser that came off of that car, so kudos to the Center defense for being able to react to that. But let's see if they have the reaction time to put one of these shots into the back of the net, hopefully off a pass. But no, it will be Bethel to take control, send this one back into Center territory, as they will get a pinch. Now a pass, looking for the back of the net, but will find the backboard instead, and they will not be extending their lead. It's going to stay 1-0.
2:30 to play here as we are half through game number 4, and it looks like Bethel, they've got the lead. They've just got to close this one out, but there's a lot of pressure right now. Loaf Pedal comes in, but a good save there by Napier Legacy to keep this one a 1-0 game for Bethel. Pop Tropical now trying to make something happen off the left side. Glass goes for that bounce shot, but comes up empty. Peanut's able to clear it along very briefly, though, as Loaf Pedal comes right back in, but now Bethel in safe territory.
Now, you see, we're starting to see Bethel get a little nervous, believe it or not, because when they come in with these long clears, oh, hold the phone, and it will be Center to barely hold on. But as I was saying, Bethel, they like going for those long clears, and more often than not, it will lead to a fast break transition play. But the further that they send the ball, they are just kind of giving the possession away to Center. But luckily for them, Center has not done much with it just yet.
No, they really haven't. I mean, Center's had a couple of good opportunities, but really Bethel hasn't had to make too many saves this game. I would really like to see the Center offense get going a bit more, because this is game number 4. They're down 2-1. Their back is up against the wall now, and we're still seeing them play conservatively. Now is the time to take risks. You're down 1. There's a minute 10 to go. They get toward the net there, but Panzer not able to hit the shot.
Now Peanut taking control. Like we said, Peanut has been a little quiet, but they're waking up this game. Got 2 shots on the board, and being that there's 1 goal on the board, that's not too bad. And now a follow-up shot from Bears Rock will find the back of the net. And once again, Bears Rock able to get the laser into the upper 90. Now getting that 2-goal cushion in favor of Bethel.
Bears Rock from the heavens, the hero for Bethel, opens this one up to a 2-goal lead with just under a minute to play. That puts so much pressure onto Central College to respond fast here, and they haven't done it much this game. We haven't really seen it since game number 1, and now they've got to turn the dial up to 10.
Absolutely. They've been really in control of the ball this entire series. Granted that they went down one game, but they still had the majority of the possession. It really came down to errors in the one game that they lost, but it seems that Bethel has addressed those errors, were able to fix their mistakes, and really capitalize in the following games. And here we are in game number 4, and
Oh!
nearly a shot going in for center and Loaf Pedal, but the defense will come in clutch, trying to perform the squishy save, and that might have just saved them from getting scored on here.
Pedal, not the greatest score for this team tonight. Go an absolute hero play, trying to get that one to go off the backboard. That would have been a legendary goal right there, but unfortunately comes up empty. One last chance here for Center College to get some consolation points, but it looks like Bethel is going to take this one tonight.
It starts to look that way, even though that was a nice little cheeky, consolation prize there at the end. 0 seconds on the clock. Let's at least get one goal on the board. And at the very least, Center will not be shut out. But unfortunately, they will fall in the series to Bethel. 3-1 the overall scoreline, and Bears Rocks holding up the MVP as they rightfully should. They were definitely the goal scorer for their team. They came in time and time again, whether it was a pass play or they went off from a backboard read solo play. Bears Rock performed exceptionally well, so congratulations to Bethel and the rest of their team for taking the dub over Center.
Yeah, they played fantastic tonight. And honestly, Central College, you can't hang your head tonight. Bethel did come out high flying, and they got the early goals tonight. And that was kind of the tail of the tape, was just those early goals being difference makers. But in game number 1, where Central College came back down 2-0, I mean, they really stood their iron on that game. And I was very impressed with how they played.
Absolutely. They did not go down napping. They came out swinging when they had to. And I can see them in the future coming back even stronger. But until then, we're going to be taking a short break. And when we come back, we will be bringing you some more NECC Rocket League action. So do not go anywhere. Captain's orders. Well, good afternoon and welcome back to NECC Rocket League. Once again, I am your happy hooligan host, Captain at Soka, joined by yet another caster. We're going through them today, but coming in today will be the mammal to brighten up your life. It's Bear Light.
That's right, and listen, Atsuka, I'm excited that I'm going to be able to close out the stream with you. Listen, the other casters had somewhere to be. I'm here with you until the very end and excited to see this next matchup here on the NECC Network, which is Alabama Black facing off with Howard Community College Dragons G1. And Howard Community College has been around the NECC circuit for a while now. It's been one of those teams that really stands out to me, coming in at 2-0, so no exceptions this season.
Absolutely. And we've seen these two teams play the last time I was on, I got to see these two teams play. And these are some truly exceptional teams right here, especially when you look at their records. Right now, the Dragons are sitting 2-0 in their first game against LVC Blue. They took it 3-1. The next game, they won in a sweep 3-0. Alabama sitting at 1-1, but they're coming off of a 3-0 sweep victory themselves against Ole Miss. So it's going to be interesting to see how these teams stack up head to head as we get game number 1 underway.
Alabama Black actually in blue on your screens here to start things off as they try to push in first, but going to be directly countered here from Howard Community College as they look to get off on the right foot. And although a fake there, it is cleared directly back out of the zone. And Airy will look to settle with the second touch and jump back on it. Fortunately, he lost some momentum to the logs and trees back into the zone. He'll be off the backboard, and the double touch almost there, but could not quite finish it. A quick turn again and out of the zone from Alabama Black.
Yeah, and these teams aren't even sufficiently warmed up yet. So we're seeing these high mechanical plays being brought out within the first 45 seconds of play. So I can only imagine once the juices start flowing and the cobwebs start to shake off, how much more highlight reel-worthy plays are we going to be in for?
Man, with these two teams in the Challengers White Division, we know that this is a stacked division, that these teams are really solid. Would not be surprised if it's many a times. But Arrow going to try and transition back down. Ari on the other side of the equation, able to look to settle it back down himself. 50-50, will play it all the way across past the box. When finds its way in to the box itself, it'll be cleared back out from Alabama Black as Just Hive waits for it. And the defense kind of clears themselves out here. And with limited boost, it'll be a pass back across, but losing possession. And a shot, and nobody's back. The communication has to be there. It was not for Alabama. And because of that, it'll be Howard Community College up on top 1-0.
Now, you see, to me, this was kind of funny. And me, I like to see the humor in things. We saw just then and there the push coming from Alabama Black as they made their way down the field with some solo mechanics, and very nice mechanics at that. Nothing short of impressive, being able to scoot their way all the way into the opposition's danger zone. But then when it came to it, all of that mechanics were for naught because they were beat out by a high-passed lob from one side of the field to the other. So to me, that's just a little bit ironic.
Yeah, a bit of overthinking, right? Because it was there and it was ready for you, but then, you left yourself wide open on the back end. Just good recognition as well, by the way, from Howard Community College as they put that one away. Arrow tried to step in, way across, nothing doing here. It's flicked directly back out of the zone, and we play stalemate here back and forth in the midfield and push back out of the zone, and Alabama left to scramble yet again to try to get back. It looks like they're kind of leaving themselves open on the backside of the field.
Absolutely, and this is the exact type of play style we were talking about in the previous match. Some teams aren't all out aggressive or offensive. They like to play the defensive side of the ball because they like to have that high-speed transition play, which often turns out into fast breaks. So they allow the offense to wear themselves out, exhaust all of their resources, including boost and rotation, and then find a transition play to find the back of the net. And so far, it has worked out for the Dragons as they hold on to this 1-goal lead.
He will now try and transition. Logs does get a touch right at the high, but they play back and forth here. And touch almost found that angle. It's a tough one, so you don't really expect him to hit it too many times, as this one will favor Alabama Black on the 50-50, and they transition back to it. Solution a little bit too fast as he played, so he couldn't quite handle it, and Aries left to try and do the bidding of Alabama Black to settle back down, but it'll be Howard Community College directly back in the zone, and now using the corner to try and play it across. Couldn't do much with it, so Airy directly back out. And Arrow, the freshman, in the air trying to get it past, but a 50-50 at center will kill it. And the more that this goes back and forth, the more even this becomes, the more it favors Howard Community College.
Yeah, right now the Dragons are pushing out of their own side quite a lot, so they're abandoning their position in their net to really take control of the midfield, and they're doing it well, but unfortunately have yet to find that second goal cushion. And with that being said, we see Alabama now playing a little bit more reserved inside of their own half as they struggle to get out.
Yeah, you saw Alabama try to get that doink as well to put it past, but Howard Community College denied them. And maybe a chance now is there's plenty of room here. And in fact, Long's going to go backwards rather than forwards. Kind of served as a back pass, but a little bit scary nonetheless. But no harm done anyways. And down to 50 seconds left in Howard Community College trying to buy more, but gave it away yet again. But they're so good at recovery. Their speed is able to support their teammates as well when they do have to go on the backtrack there.
Well, now with 35 seconds left to go, Alabama cannot afford the backtrack as now they will put a shot on target, but it will be saved and cleared away. 30 seconds to go, and they have to equalize if they want to try hold on here in game number 1. But now it's going to be a backboard touch here, but not a backboard shot, as the ball will find its way back to the midfield. And now an opportunity for Alabama Black as the defense from the Dragons remains to hold strong and will, as that shot barely nicks the crossbar, and it will be cleared out.
And now it hits the ground before it can reach its way to the center, or to the corner rather, and Howard Community College Dragons able to get that first game win and hold on by a thread. Alabama did bounce back there and try and get their tires rolling in the right direction. They were held scoreless though. Both defenses on point, really holding each other at an arm's length, and it's one of those battles, where, your arms are super long. You try to keep them at a distance there. And so that one strike, that one lobber from all the way on the other side of the pitch was the difference in this one for Howard Community College. And so maybe when goals are at a premium, you have to find those situations and execute.
Yeah, and like we were talking about in game number 1, these players really have to shake the cobwebs off. They have to get warmed up. But when we're talking about the side coming from that early scoring team being able to get that long lob all the way down the field, it's almost like they didn't have to warm up. Where, of course, if you're looking coming from the blue side of the pitch, they really started to warm up at the end. They were putting the shots on, they're hitting the crossbar, but they weren't finding the back of the net, unfortunately. So I expect to see a tighter game going into game number 2 now that both teams are sufficiently warmed up. It's just sad to see that on the blue side of the pitch, they were just a little bit too little, too late.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed like they got ahead of themselves in certain situations too, as you saw, them line up for a couple opportunities and come up a little bit short with it. Maybe not warmed up quite yet. So that's where obviously you want to get your scrims in beforehand, a little bit of practice as well to really warm up your passing lanes, warm up where you want to go with the ball, your intended targets as well, and find those. It seemed like they got a little bit too far aggressive too, and that was the one mistake that they made that led to that one goal. That was the difference maker there. So Alabama looking to bounce back here. Howard Community College off to a great start as they have in the season, again at the 2-0 mark here for this semester in the springtime. Looking to make it 3-0, and right now they have a 1-0 lead in the series. We're going to need to have a little bit more offense than just one goal per game in order to pull that off.
Well, let's not wait any longer. Let's get the first goal out of the way and get this one on the board right off the kickoff immediately. Getting a shot on, but not in. But a fantastic rebound coming through from long trees. Logs and trees, that's what it was. Logs and trees finding the back of the net, taking that one goal lead early for the HCC Dragons, nearly making it 2.
Man, and you saw this in the last series that you got to cast. I wasn't a part of that, but I was watching, and Bethel University knew when to strike quickly off kickoffs. And Howard Community College looking to try and kind of build that same idea, right? In maybe establish an identity of when we line up for a kickoff, we're full focus from there until the next whistle blows, until the next goal goes in, right? We're going to keep that focus. And off in game number 1, looking to maybe continue that into it, as it'll be Arrow you're looking at right now to try and play it back. But out of the zone here for Just Hive. Did not really do much with it, though. So New Bull able to jump up for the time being. And even though it's game 2 here at Soka, it still seems like the two teams are really in a stalemate, a game of Pong, if you will.
It does seem like that, but keep in mind the HCC Dragons still have that 1-goal lead, almost as if they're continuing the pattern from game number 1, where Alabama just kind of stagnates, like you said, after the first goal has been scored. And again, we're at that stalemate, but the favor is once again on the side of the Dragons, as they once again will get the 1-goal early lead. And if the Alabama Black team is not careful, it could be all they need to get a victory here in game number 2.
That was a crafty way to try to put it back in the zone as well from the Dragons offense. Someone will kind of linger in the corner here for Alabama Black, where they are pretty much trapped here, handcuffed, until Hive was able to jump up on it and play this next. The flick will not do, as Logs will turn and make his way to the back wall. A chance to find a pass, but nobody available anyways. Argy knew that, and does get a demo here too. A bit of physicality both ways now, as we saw that from Howard Community College just a little bit earlier.
Oh, you know I love those. Bear Light, we've casted before. You know I like the demo plays. I like the physicality. Yeah. There's nothing I love more than a good fireworks show. But the thing about it is that you have to do it within your rotations, because the last thing you want is to give away goals for free. But nothing free was given away there. That was just good old-fashioned bullying of the ball, putting this one at a high speed to the point where even 2 defenders in the net could not stop it.
You could tell Ari knew the fact that they were lined up in an awkward position where if you get a touch there for the defender for HCC in that instance, it's a little bit awkward. So he was able to step up and really force the issue there. Jump into the place where you can get to it next. Excellent draw up and excellent job to jump up on the play. Don't become a spectator. Jump up in there and really make a difference. That's what we saw.
And now we might see yet another goal, but unfortunately there's a player out of pocket on the side of the Dragons. But the cleanup coming from Logs and Trees. Oh my goodness, Newbold putting this one right on target, but then Log and Trees coming in with the cleanup to hit that one off of the sidebar and put it in past 2 defenders, taking the lead back from Alabama Black in mere seconds.
Wow, that's starting the needle, isn't it? He just fit that in on that post and in. That feels really good for them to bounce back directly. And we said, yo, quick answers in Howard Community College. They're trying to establish that identity, and sure enough, that's part of it. That was a great tap down as well from Newbold, but he wasn't able to quite find the back of the net. They will stay on offense, though, with that great turn from Logs and Trees. He will step up on it yet again. He's got plenty of boost, but no angle, and so forced to drop it back to Arrow as he will move it out himself. Argy big clear, but back for it. And a touch there from the defensive Logs and Trees, who has been great in this one and continues to be just a force to be reckoned with. A tough presence there, both on the offensive side and defensive side of the ball.
One thing that the Dragons are doing really well at controlling is these small boost pads. Notice that they're not scrambling when they find their backs against the wall to go and try and get corner boost or side boost. They're literally living off the 12 boost pads, and they're using that boost extraordinarily well, being very conservative when they use the boost and when to go all out. And their boost control right now is mostly coming from Alabama territory. So they're literally stealing all their little boost pads on the side of Alabama Black.
And that makes it so difficult, right? Because if you're lacking boost, it's tougher to make those moves, right? To get up and use your skill mechanics that you have, as I won't sit right in front. But our community college defense, again, a great job to not panic in that situation, but it's open now and off the post and in again. This time it's airy for Alabama Black, and we're equalized.
Yeah, and notice here, it didn't even look like Solution had any boost to work with. Like we were saying, it seems as if, you know, going across for the Alabama Black side, they have little to no boost, but it did not stop them. They got into the face of the Dragons. They did a nice lob coming from Solution, and they were able to find the back of the net with a good old-fashioned textbook pass play to tie us all up at 2 with only 35 seconds left on the clock.
Fulfilling to execute as a player, super fulfilling to watch as a fan. That shot, although it did cause Alabama to try and get a scramble save, they actually accomplished that. Nice defense, but directly back into the zone here by Newbold. He gets a couple of touches across. They're forced backwards, and a good attempt there, and a 50-50 on the other end. 10 seconds left. Shot on, and Newbold able to take care of business. Is back into the hands of Solution. He'll settle. Try to get the defense pulled out of the position. Arrow now a chance. He's eyeballing a teammate there in the middle. No, they will get there. It'll be a 50-50. Back down. but not all the way down to the ground. Newble targets a teammate there. They're not quite able to connect like they did before, and we have ourselves overtime.
Yep, here we go. The first overtime of the series between Alabama Black and the HCC Dragons. Let's see how this will unfold, because in Rocket League, they have some teams that just aren't overtime teams, and then you have those teams that love overtime. So it's really interesting to see how these two teams will perform now that they have a little extra pressure riding on their backs, as Solution is going to take this one out into the corner, and this one goes way up high, and a shot on from Logs and Trees will cut down the defense and take the lead by 3-2.
This all goes back to what you were saying before as well, by the way, Captain, where it's all about boost control there. You saw Solution as he came down, tried to settle, tried to toss it back out of the zone, and he was left without his boost pad. And he had 20 left in the tank to try and help out, try and get back into the rotation. It makes it life so much more difficult. And then, unfortunately, the rest of the defense kind of stacked there in nets, both of them kind of eyeballing it, and nobody really calling it, nobody actually attacking that when they needed to, and so just left the door wide open. And yet again, Logs and Trees able to come back in and do what he does best, as he has been great all series long. And now it's already match point here, Captain Atsaka. Got to do something different if you're Alabama Black here.
Yeah, and this is really what separates the weak from the chap, the better from the best. And I said it last time, and I'll say it again because it rings true. Being able to make adjustments and adapt in the middle of a series is what separates a semi-pro team from a pro team. So Alabama Black, if they want to stand a chance and not get swept, they're going to have to adapt. They're going to have to make those adjustments, and they're going to have to make them now as we head into game number 3. Definitely.
Me and Novanto were talking about this actually earlier on the broadcast on the other stream, which you can find at twitch.tv/NECC_games. Or esports rather, NECC_esports. We were talking about creativity, how it actually helps, opening up, your game plan and really finding a way and a solution to each individual team, because that will really open the box, especially when it's at a tight battle like we've seen so far in this series. So look to build on this one, as this will be left into the offensive corner here. Newble going to try, and blind pass, though, didn't really locate a teammate, but it does fall to Logs and Trees nonetheless. A demo to free up some space. Arrow, tough angle there. They'll keep it in front, but bumps out of the play. And finally, in transition, will be Alabama Black, but again, they don't move quite quick enough to make that chance work for them.
Now, you see, this is a problem that we've seen with Alabama Black, is that they get stuck into their own half and they're forced to play a lot of defense. But with that being said, I like the way that they transitioned there, because they were able to use the physical play with the bump to really knock the Dragons out of offensive positioning, and using that transition for Airy to make a counterattack and put the first goal on the board for the first time in this series. It seems that it will be Alabama Black with the lead against the Dragons.
Yeah, and the Dragons aren't going to make it easy for you. Howard Community College known for that lockdown defense, and it was a reaching arm that they got it past in order to put it in. So you know it's not going to be easy, but it looks like Alabama Black's willing to put in the work. They just have to continue to execute. No mistakes can be made here in the rest of the series, especially when you're down 0-2. And they know this, and they're after it. Now pushing forward will be Howard Community College. It'll be Arrow with a great jump to adjust. What a save, but the follow-up is there nonetheless. So again, you put in the effort as Alabama Black with that insane save, but in there, in support, is the rest of that team, including no other than Logs.
Not to mention the pass coming from Arrow, and I know that it was a shot on nearly in, but they say that the best passes come off of missed shots. And what I'm starting to think is, like, because we say Logs and Trees so often, we find ourselves mentioning this player and over and over and over again for being the top scorer, but I'm starting to think that Logs and Trees is really just the three player playing the anchor position, and really just playing cleanup for their teammates here. I can only imagine what the pass play and the assist count is like, because again, we saw Arrow just really paving the way for that goal just now, and just allowing Logs and Trees to find the back of the net and tying them back up at 1.
Definitely, and I've loved what I've seen, out of Airy as well from Alabama, but just not cutting it. Arrow able to put one on the board again for Howard Community College. So you're Alabama, and you start to feel it, right, and get that quick start. Yet Howard Community College bounces directly back. We talked about their quick answers on goals. That was just 2 back-to-back, so that's how those quick kickoffs and quick play can help you. A chance here for Alabama to do the same. It's still up in the air. Solution, a touch, but not enough on it. Arrow will play directly back out.
And this is really one big key difference right now between the Dragons and Alabama Black. The Dragons, when they go up and get a touch, it's usually a laser that is going to be on target. Very high-speed touches. But unfortunately, from Alabama Black, they're not getting as solid of touches. It looks like they're getting more wheel touches. The passes and the shots are coming off a lot softer. And the Dragons have been able to get some pretty easy clears from it. As once again, we see Arrow with a high-speed swish and flick to put this one right on in, giving their team the lead yet again.
Oh man, they have been impactful. Trying to close out now in the freshman and Arrow, the one to put them up 3-1, given the cushion here for Howard Community College and really force Alabama into a mindset of what do we do? Every single time they line up for the kickoffs, and Howard Community College has bested them on just about every single one. A great play, and you say it, he's there for support. But my oh my, is that their game strategy coming into this one and how they have executed this one. They've been great.
And not just to mention that kickoff goal, that cheat up. We talk about the cheat up all the time. We see it in ranked, we see it in casual, and we see this mechanic used all the time. But that was probably the most perfect cheat up kickoff I've ever seen. And now we see yet another goal coming through from Alabama Black to cut the lead in half. Now 4-2 with the textbook Rocket League pass play of their own.
Yeah, they're right there in the slot. Just have right time to strike in this one. Obviously, when you're down a little bit, you want to kind of cheat forward. So great anticipation. Really, that needs to happen in the game too. But going back to that goal, like we were talking about, yeah, you're absolutely right. The way he placed it directly where the boost level of your teammate is there. Oh, Howard Community College almost responded with another one of those perfect passes to the slot.
Now it's going to be just Hive and Alabama Black looking to put themselves back in this game as they are down 4-2 with 1:20 left on the clock. It's going to be just Hive to get that touch and put it into the danger zone of the Dragons, but the rebuttal comes in true and nearly going in will find the sidebar instead, and Alabama Black might have just saved themselves from being scored on.
Yeah, exactly, and keeping themselves alive a little bit at a time. That's a good 50-50. The play right into the hands of Solution. The 50-50 again answered by Howard Community College in a shot and a bullet from the Arrow. 5-2 now, Howard Community College, and that might be the dagger.
And this is something, again, that we've seen several times tonight. Even with a goalie in the net, sometimes even two, if you hit it fast enough, it will find the back of the net, and that's what we've been seeing from the Dragons time and time again. I even mentioned it earlier, just from a pass play. When the Dragons go up and they get a touch, more often than not, it's a laser. It's too much speed for Alabama to keep up with. And speaking of speed, let's talk about how quickly the Dragons have been scoring back-to-back nets.
Yeah, every single kickoff they line up for it. They have a game plan for it, and they know how to counter it. They've been absolutely drawing up plays and then creating the pace, and how do you follow up that pace and get that quick scoring and get that speed that you want is by controlling the pace, but also through the boost control as well. We mentioned that earlier in this series, and it holds true too, as Howard Community College will move to 3-0 on the season here. Pending a miracle, they have been outstanding here. Alabama, although had some moments here at Soka, it just wasn't enough for them, as our Community College just put it to them. More time killed, 18 seconds left, but Alabama Black will fall to 1-2. So, just coming off a 1-3 loss from Hood College, trying to get back on track after starting the season off 3-0. And although unable to do so here in this week, they will have plenty of weeks to try and prove themselves. Howard Community College going to win this series, and it did so by force. It'll be by the count of 3-0.
Yeah, and not to mention the HCC Dragons are keeping the tradition alive a little bit, because off of the last game they played, they won in a sweep as well, doing the same thing this week. So they're really on a upward trend, and if they keep going about the league this way, they're going to go pretty far as we move further into the league. But with that being said, that's going to wrap us up here for that matchup between Alabama Black and the HCC Dragons, and what a match it was. Once again, congratulations to HCC for pulling ahead with that 3-0 sweep. But do not go anywhere, because we have some more NECC Rocket League coming at you momentarily right after this break. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, and non binary folk from around the world, and welcome back to NECC Rocket League. Once again, I am your host for this evening, Captain at Soka, joined in the booth by the one and only Bearlight. Bearlight, how are you feeling going into the last match of the day?
Well, pleasure being with you first and foremost as always, but also kind of sad it's the last match of the night. It's been a pretty productive and pretty fun one as well tonight on the B stream. I started off on the A stream, it transitioned over here, and listen, it's just as fun, if not a little bit more. Don't tell them that. I'm excited to move into this last matchup, and it's going to be yet another good one. Lincoln Land Loggers, a solid team. Morningside. This matchup's bound to be a good one.
Well, let's see if we get a little bit of a bright sunny day here for Morningside, as they're going to kick things off with a nice touch off of the 50-50 and a possible early goal. And already Morningside is on the board with one goal with only 3 seconds off the clock.
Kickoff goals have been the story of this B stream. Again, Beefcake getting the credit for this one, and kickoff goal is the name of the story. Obviously, you want a quick start. Well, that's one way to do it, especially against this 2-0 Lincoln Land Loggers team, who everybody chalks up to be one of the best teams in this division. We'll see if it holds true, but good start there for Morningside. A little bit of that sun, like you said.
Not gonna lie, when someone came to me and said that we're about to watch Lincoln Land, my brain went to Lincoln Logs. I don't know why, but it just did. But Lincoln Land is gonna go ahead and get the first goal for their own team right here by getting a nice floater up into the upper 90 coming from Cyber. And just like that, 2 goals have already been scored with only 26 seconds gone.
Well, it's funny you said Lincoln Logs, and it's Lincoln Land Loggers. I think they did that on purpose. They had to have done that on purpose. 100%. I love it, though. I mean, why not? That was one of my favorite toys. I like building stuff. So it makes sense. Right? Either way.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Settling down in the corner now, it's Morningside, who a little bit slow to get to this one, though. Relic allowed the chance to jump up. He sees a teammate midfield, but couldn't quite get that pass off the ceiling. Doesn't matter. It's a cross. And now slowly working up from that third man spot was Wonka, who will leave it. Beefcake, the original scorer for Morningside, does get a pass out, but does not connect with Digital.
Yep, and this 1-1 scoreline will hold true as we pass the first minute of play, but this could be a tall tale sign of a high-scoring game. At least I hope so anyway, as this ball will find its way back into Lincoln Land and will go up high, and the return volley coming in full effect to find the goal. Home alone is going to be a 2-1 lead now for Lincoln Land.
Look as they push forward, and Relic recognizes that and gets so much on that. Is this the Emerge division? It is. But that's crazy to me, because to get that much power off that back wall obviously takes a lot of practice, getting that pinch just right to propel it all the way back down the field. Nice job, nice recognition, good execution. 2-1 lead from Lincoln Land, who has 2 in a row. It's 2 straight. Take the lead as Cyber will try a jump pass, but Beef able to take care of business for the time being. Relic settles, kind of runs out of boost there, so not much in the tank to work with. Morningside trying to work it across, but directly back out from Lincoln Land, who again is back. And that transitional play from Lincoln Land has been an advantage, at least so far.
Well, the good transition from Relic back to defense was able to save their team from getting scored on and already transitioning back to offense. But once again, we're seeing the back and forth, the give and go, and a real battle for the midfield as another save will come in clutch from Lincoln Land, and they will transition yet again back into the Morningside territory.
Yeah, their defense has been on point. Their positioning has been on point as well, and Morningside is tough as they've been pushing into the box. It's been Lincoln Land that has had the full control when it comes to the defensive side of the ball until now. Ooh, almost a mishap there for Relic. He tossed it across his own goal line, lucky to get away with that one.
Absolutely. I thought that they were going to doomsy dish inside of their own net, but lucky for them, they were a little off target as now we approach halftime, and Lincoln Land still holding on to this 2-1 lead as Morningside looks to try and find the back of the net here, but Lincoln Land finally gets a breath of fresh air as they send this one back to Morningside territory.
Yeah, and speaking of fresh air, there hasn't been any for Morningside as Lincoln Land's been all over to them. Their gaps are minimal. Everything else with the demo should lead to a goal. It sure does, as Mr. Camo Chicken will get credited for this one as it was pushed directly back in the zone, but his speed was perfect, and Beefcake jumps out. Gets that demo, the physicality, leaves the open net. Great execution, and we're even at 2.
I think that was literally the textbook definition of sitting duck there. If you're going to be playing defense and you're going to be taking your time waiting for the ball to come for you, don't be surprised if a player from the opposite side comes for you too, because that demolition literally just came from a player that came from all the way from the other side of the net and still had time to find you to get the demo and just let that ball roll right on in. And just like that, Morningside has tied the game back up at 2 with a minute and 43 now remaining.
Love to see that drive, because when you don't have that space, I was literally just mentioning that you have to cut off gaps, or you have to create space on your own, and that's what a demo will do, and that's exactly what they went with. It was the perfect time to strike as well, as now in transition will be Morningside trying to get a pass, but Relic able to get up quick. Get that touch to keep it at midfield, but pushed directly back into the zone by this Morningside offense. Pushed out for the purpose, but Mr. Camo Chicken was still there. Will play it off the corner. A little bit too hot to handle, though, for a teammate. Should land into where Lincoln Land is waiting, as Relic will take it to the other wall, calls off a teammate, and will work it from this left side wall. 1 minute remaining on the clock here. Still deadlocked at 2 as Wonka goes up for this one, but the shot not quite there, and out of the zone here from Morningside, kept in by Lincoln Land.
Lincoln Land is such a mechanically gifted team, and I say that because things that make me nervous, Lincoln Land just happens to do with perfection, because we see them play defense, but one thing that gets me nervous is trying to dribble and take control in front of your own net. Lincoln Land has done that time and time again, but they're so mechanically gifted that they can take control in front of their own net and still maintain enough possession to get it out and away and get a clear. So kudos to them for being able to maintain possession of the ball for so long, but they really need to be able to try and turn that 1v1 mechanic possession game into a little bit of offense, because right now we're only seeing it really come through on the defensive side of things.
Exactly right. We're down to 5 seconds left, and Morningside going to try and create the offense of their own. Wonka going to try to get a touchdown. He didn't, but it will eventually find its way there. And we start off overtime in this game here, as Digital will push in for Morningside. Both teams after that quick start here. As now in transition, it's Lincoln Land, a couple of passes, and that one finds its way to the goal, but Beef able to get to it. Great save to keep things even here early in overtime.
I gotta say, Beefcake Barada making the 99 Skyline look really, really good right now. I love seeing the non-meta vehicles come out in high-intense competitive play like this, because it makes me start to think of what possible other non-meta vehicles could get the job done. But right now, Digital Vortex looking to get the job done, but will be shut down as the ball finds its way back towards the midfield. And now Beefcake Barada is going to be off target as this one finds its way back towards the side, and it will be Digital Vortex again holding the line at the midfield, as Beefcake Barada once again coming in through rotation, and Morningside, although maintaining possession for the majority of this overtime, has not found the back of the net.
A bit of an awkward play there from Morningside. I noticed that Lincoln Land took a little bit of time to really focus. Must have been good communication from their team, or they lucked out, one of the two, because they took forever to get off a back, or get to a challenge off the back wall. Now a chance as well in transition here for Lincoln Land to continue here. Nobody really wanted to go for it. It was an awkward play there from Morningside at midfield. So they'll second-guess themselves and roll backwards, which is not fruitful when you have people like Relic able to strike on it in a second. But I'm impressed with this Morningside team to keep up with Lincoln Land in this midfield presence battle. The boost, fight has been pretty even. That's a lot of space, a good pass, and a great job to recognize and get up from this defense again. But a bump, a shot just wide. But more of that physicality from Morningside.
If Lincoln Land continues to allow themselves to get demoed and bump played so often, it's going to end pretty poorly for them, because right now Morningside has just been absolutely putting on a demolition derby on the side of Lincoln Land. And honestly, if I'm on the Lincoln Land side, I want to see them return the favor. I want to see some more demos and bump plays coming from Lincoln Land.
Exactly. You got to match the energy, right, to get there. And for me, they've been a little bit lackluster, and some of the bumps, some of the demos make them timid and waits in their own box. And you can kind of see them struggling, trying to, scramble back to defensive chances you don't typically see. This will be a loose play, and a shot and in. It'll be a Cyberstraw that ends this game number 1, and a 3-2 win in this one for Lincoln Land.
And again, this was just good positioning over there at the midfield. We talked about the battle at the midfield all game long, and it came in clutch for Lincoln Land. Cyber Straw, of course, being the one sitting there and waiting for the opportune time to strike, and took full advantage. Both of their teammates went in strong to force the defense to make a play, force them out of positions, and they really just caught the rebound at the perfect time, finding the back of the net and getting the first game dub in favor of Lincoln Land.
Yeah, and it didn't even take a demo or a bump. I thought it was going to need to be that. I thought it had to be that way for Lincoln Land, to be quite frank. It didn't. They were able to just kind of fight through it. You could tell that they were always in the right position and were waiting for their time to strike. And in overtime, obviously, when you find that one opportunity, that's when you want to nail it. And what a shot it was. A little bit of a loose play there from the defense. But, I mean, you take them nonetheless. When you have those shots, you have to execute. And that's easier said than done when we talk about the emergence level. Not always are those shots going to be on point when they need to be, but for Lincoln Land, that's what they do so well, is when those opportunities present themselves, they do find a way.
Well, let's see if Morningside can find a way to equal up the series scoreline as they go down 1-0 to Lincoln Land as we head into game number 2, where it's already 15 seconds underway. And still no team really taking too much advantage right now. Just the good old-fashioned give and go as we head into this one officially, as now both teams struggle to really find a good amount of possession.
Yeah, they kind of toss it back and forth. We saw it a lot in the last series, too. Calling on this one, I'm not exactly surprised. Typically a game 1 characteristic. But still, looking to settle in any way. And when you see this happening and developing and you see plenty of room, it's such a habit to just toss it right back. But in reality, it's all about catching it. Play it to the wall to yourself, right? Create a play. Play it solo for just a bit. You know that the opponents are giving you room. You got to use that space to your advantage. And Waka's got a little bit of it and try to use it to his advantage to move forward on the offensive side of the ball. Relic to follow up on that chance. As now plenty of teammates here. And now another 1v1 situation develops where Lincoln Land and Wonka able to get a couple of 50-50s. They'll force Camo up on the back wall. But now Lincoln Land's all over this Morningside defense.
This is actually a comment that I even made back in game number 1, attributing to Lincoln Land's 1v1 mechanics, having that control of the ball and being able to get dribbles and 50-50s past the defense, which they've managed to do time and time again. But more often than not, it seems that Lincoln Land is really trying to get one player against all 3 of the defense. And don't get me wrong, they are so mechanically gifted that they were able to find the back of the net and win the game there in game number 1. But if they really want to stick it to Morningside, I think we're going to have to see some more team plays, as Morningside has done in game number 1, incorporating those demo plays, but they were doing it off of the past plays as well. And honestly, it really seems to be that both sides need to incorporate a little bit of the playbook from each other if they want to try and get more goals on the board, because we're approaching halftime and we're still stuck with 2 buttery bagels on the board, 0-0.
Exactly right. And you said it yourself in the past series as well. When things are locked down, when goals come at a premium, you got to get creative with it. Bumps and demos were one way. It was working for Morningside. You haven't really drifted away from it a whole bunch. You still see the bumps and demos come out, but you got to find a new way when they start avoiding those bumps and demos, as you just saw there from Relic. So now you have to go back to the drawing board. Maybe it's time to hold the ball a little bit closer to the chest. Let the defense come to you. Pull them out of position. Might be the right move here for Morningside as they do go towards the back of the net. But Relic, of course, going to settle things here in the corner. Beefcake, the freshman, took a shot, but it's going to be just a little bit high. And now Relic to jump right back on it. And a bit of control. He gets a flick past one, tried the 50, but a great job from Beef to sit in that play and fight it off for now.
And again, just to even further my point, we saw Relic get past 2 defenders, and they did well with the 1v1 mechanics, having that control, getting the flick over 2 defenders, but couldn't get past the 3rd. And the only shortcoming is that there was no teammate near to find the rebound and put the ball into the back of the net. And honestly, if you ask me, I think that should have been a goal had they had the backup.
I think so as well. Now you're stuck at the 0 scoreline still. Deadlocked here since the get-go. In game number 2, if you're just joining us, it was a game 1 overtime win for Lincoln Land, and they have that 1-0 advantage coming in. Crafty touch there from Relic as he tried to leave it for Cyber, but did not finish the job. We'll have to go directly back to work, and that's what they do. As Mr. Camo Chicken trying to reestablish themselves here, but already up for that one is Wonka. Beef, the freshman, again, does a great job to handle things, and they'll have an opportunity here cut off directly from the speed of Lincoln Land. Digital will try and use a little bit of this space, although gets a pinch. It was read all the way by Cyber, and Lincoln Land directly back in the offense as they have been this entire time. But a good read from Beef directly back out of the zone. Will try to go for offense himself. The support was there too, but they couldn't quite connect on that one. But a good opportunity there for Morningside. I love seeing that.
And it's so funny that we see so many great plays and we get so much highlight-worthy commentary, and yet the scoreline remains 0-0 because so far the defenses are holding strong for both teams. But really what the problem is that neither of these teams want to risk it for the biscuit. In the first game, it came down to overtime, and it really got down to the wire because it was teams capitalizing on the other team's mistake. But finally, we have found the back of the net. We have a goal on the board within the last 7 seconds, and it came from a double commit on the side of Lincoln Land, and it was Beefcake Barada who was there to punish in a major way as they will take the 1-goal lead against Lincoln Land.
And again, now 5 seconds left on the clock. That was a perfect strike, but not over yet. That'll stay out somehow. And this one needs to hit the corner, but instead, it'll hit the wall and come directly back down. Not the bounce you want for Lincoln Land, but the one you need for Morningside to even the series here at 1. As they go back to work here, and it's 8 shots to 7 here, and that's how close it was. But also the fact that it was such a high shot counts, but so little scoring here. The one opportunity, the one mistake, like you mentioned, opened things up there, and Lincoln Land just couldn't quite dig out of that hole because it was so late in the game that Morningside was able to strike.
And it's so funny because often when we see these games, especially in the collegiate scene, it's usually a shootout contest to see who can get the most shots, who can get the most goals. That game that we just saw was a battle of the defenses. Both teams didn't want to take the high-risk, high-reward plays. They played conservative, and it came down to who had the stamina to hold out in the net the longest, and it turned out to be Morningside. But now since we've had the first game, which was an offensive battle, and now the second game, which was a defensive battle, we know what type of play style to expect from both of these teams. And already Lincoln Land is coming out with the fireworks as they put on a double demo, which could have saved them a little bit as it disrupts the offensive rotation coming from Morningside.
Relic jumped up on that play directly after, and maybe he shouldn't have, as you know, they had plenty of boost in the tank and lots of room, and you come from behind your teammate to take over. Maybe it wasn't necessary there for Lincoln Land. A bit of a mistake there again. Morningside was able to take advantage of that one, evens the series at 1, and continues to try to build off of that. But a majority of that game was spent on the offensive side for Lincoln Land. I know it was a lot of back and forth as far as the shooting category goes, but when trapping the zone, oh, what a save! They get up to that one, hold that thought. Morningside with some stellar defense. Now back on the other side, a chance. And it was there in front for Beefcake, but taken right out of the zone again from Relic. Transition, swing shot, also saved from Digital. They go back at it, but can't quite connect. And a double commit again, another shot, another save. Relic can't get up to this one, and Morningside doing everything they can to hold on.
Absolutely, and now I love what I'm seeing here because right now what we're checking out, now that we're here in game number 3, is after that previous game, we saw the battle of the defenses play out, and Morningside clearly won that battle. So now Lincoln Land, we're not going to play defense anymore. We're going to play offense. We're going to take it to you because now they're not playing conservative anymore. They're starting to take a little bit more risks, and they're forcing Morningside to stay in their own half, stay in their own net, and when they do come out, it's more often than not a double commit. So right now, Lincoln Land has decided to completely ditch that defensive play style they had in game number 2, and they're breaking out all the stops here in game number 3.
That's how you truly become a great team, is to capitalize on an aggressive play style, which they're doing, and having that rotation and presence of mind to know when to support, when to attack, more importantly, the decision-making to step up on a play, and when to get back into your own end, when to retreat and keep your rotations tight on the defensive side of the ball. Lincoln Land has been doing great at both. When you can play an aggressive play style and still cover yourself defensively is when you can really make a difference. So you're absolutely right here. I think they've been doing a great job of doing it. But then again, they still haven't broken through this amazing Morningside defense either. They've been pretty stellar themselves.
Absolutely. And now that we've passed halftime, still sitting at 0-0, both teams struggling to find the back of the net. Lincoln Land, of course, going up against the Iron Curtain Wall defense that is Morningside. And then Morningside just really struggling to break out of their own half to stop playing defense. So both teams, it's really like watching an unstoppable force meet an immovable object. And now the unmovable object in that instance was the goalie, frozen in their tracks as this fast break pass play coming from Beefcake Barada over to Digital Vortex to find the back of the net and finally break the score drought. We are now 1-0 in favor of Morningside.
This kid is a difference maker at Soka. Beefcake has been absolutely outstanding right now. Beefcake Barada has been the goal scorer when you need him. He's been the one that can set up the plays, like you saw from that amazing pass. This is another opportunity, but unfortunate pinch, and that's definitely an opportunity here for Lincoln Land after that was almost sneaking in. They're able to get out of harm's way nonetheless, but Beefcake has been outstanding for this team. No matter what role they need him in, he's able to adjust, be adaptable. Such a strong quality of a leader, and being a freshman, well, definitely is a good sign for Lincoln Land moving forward. If this kid develops more and sticks with Lincoln Land, well, they're in for quite the future here, or with Morningside rather. They're quite a future ahead of them.
Absolutely, and now with 1:15 remaining, it's up to Lincoln Land to try and equalize as Morningside has taken possession and they have lightly given it up. As now finally Lincoln Land may have an opportunity, but once again, the name that pops up, Beefcake Barada taking control inside of the Lincoln Land territory. Not only a minute remaining and a demolition on the field could stir things up defensively for Lincoln Land.
Certainly can. They stick to their guns though, and somehow work it directly back out. A good 50-50 here for Relic as he will look to jump on a bump there. Demoed off the play now, back into the zone. That one will ramp its way up, and guess who's already up for it? It's Wonka with a save, a reactionary one for Digital, but he can't get back up for that one. Another one, Mr. Camo Chicken, able to jump up and support and get his second follow-up save.
Yep, they say that chickens can't fly, but no one mentioned Mr. Camo Chicken. They can definitely fly when they have to, but unfortunately, they weren't there for that play. No Mr. Camo Chicken to be found in the net here, as this is going to be Relic taking this one all the way. Actually, you know what? There goes Mr. Camo Chicken. A missed touch and ended up flying into the back of the net, and just like that, we have ourselves a 1-1 scoreline with 18 seconds to go.
And you do a 99 things right and one thing wrong. You leave yourself open twice in a row, and Lincoln Land strikes again. Oh, Morningside, a heartbreak of a turn here in the last 7 seconds has shown them from the lead in an almost certain match point to perhaps a match point against if they can't equalize this game with just 10 seconds remaining on the clock. Push forward, Wonka. To the side wall. This one will ramp up towards the ceiling. A miss here. A chance, but they get to it nonetheless. But put right in the zone here from Beef. Cyber try to get it out. Beef going to keep it up for the time being. It's over to a teammate who will put it on target. Or at least it's him too. It's right there, but it's shut down from Lincoln Land and their defense. And it's Lincoln Land instead, in a matter of 7 seconds, turn the tide and will be on match point here moving forward.
Yep, once again, between these two teams, like we just saw in the game previous, it came down to the last few seconds, narrowly avoiding overtime, which happened again, except for this time, it was on the other foot. Now it's going to be Lincoln Land who decides that, hey, we're not going to play overtime. We're going to end it right here and now. And they do so within the last 14 seconds, getting the back of the net and getting the dub there as we get ready to head on into yet another match. But I got to ask you, Bearlight, picking your analytical, brilliant brain, I need to ask you, what do you think that Morningside can do to combat Lincoln Land's aggressive nonstop offense?
Yeah, what you have to do is buy yourself room. The bumps and demos, there's no coincidence that it was happening for you earlier. You got to build that back up yet again. In addition to that, you're talking about Lincoln Land and their ability to create their aggression. I want to see quick touch passing out of the zone. No more of this, just touching it out to middle and hoping that they can't get to it. You need to find a teammate. You have to have a play drawn up to get out of your zone, to find the quick pass. Say, even if you're off the ball in the defensive half and Lincoln Land's being that aggressive, hey, drop it back to box, right? I'm in my own box. back pass real quick, and let's get out of the zone, and let's beat them in transition. Transitional plays will always beat them, but you have to set up those plays super quickly.
And as we are well into game number 4, this is match point for Lincoln Land. If they win it here, they will win the entire series. So Morningside, if they want to keep this game alive, are going to have to answer back here and now. 4 minutes on the clock, and already the aggression from Lincoln Land is very self-evident as a double commit will come out of the defense of Morningside. But luckily, Beefcake Barada was there to clear this one out as they air it towards the corner of Lincoln Land territory.
I've been so impressed by Beef. He's been outstanding mechanically, first and foremost. You said Lincoln Land, they're going to be one of the most mechanical, teams in this division, and they are. And he's been matching that exact energy and trying to really amp up his team. And the team follows when you have a leader like this. A chance, a shot just high. The follow-up here for Beef as he tried to settle it back down. That's a good 50-50 from Digital, as that'll scare Lincoln Land. They have to jump back towards it. And now they're giving him some medicine of their own with this aggression. Morningside up 1-0.
Now, you see, we were even talking about this, how Beefcake Barada was really the leader, putting the example out for their team. But now we're seeing all the other players starting to get incorporated there. We saw Digital Vortex, of course, getting that nice midfield shot. But, of course, we can't forget about Mr. Camo Chicken, who paved the way. And now, literally, as their name is coming out of my mouth, Mr. Camo Chicken getting this touch once again at the midfield, coming off of the pass from Digital Vortex. Now we're seeing the other two players from Morningside step it up here in game number 4.
Be quick and decisive. It goes hand in hand with the quick passing that I said beforehand. Morningside has turned it up ever since. And another opportunity there for Lincoln Land, but cut off directly. Look how quick Digital Vortex gets to this one and then throws out the fake to put it in the back of the net. 3-0 now Morningside, a whole different team.
Yeah, it really starting to look like it, because so far with these goals that are on the board in favor of Morningside, I don't think any of them, or at least only one, has come from... I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank for a second. That was coming from... Oh, where's their name? You're going to have to help me out here, Bear.
from the
Beefcake.
Yeah.
It's Beefcake. Beefcake, yeah. Right now, Morningside is coming up insanely clutch and playing extremely strong. And Beefcake Barada, who normally is the leader and the spearhead of this team, has been rather carried by Digital Vortex.
And that was another great play, yeah. He just followed up with it. It's been incredible to watch him step up as a leader himself. And then Mr. Camo Chicken, like you were alluding to, with a banger of a shot earlier, too. Like, both of his teammates have stepped up because Beef led the way earlier in the match. So I definitely agree with that point.
Absolutely. I think after casting all 4 of these games, my stamina is starting to lack. Now, I've been in the booth all day today, and we're getting ready to finish things up here as we hit the 2-minute mark, and Morningside with an impressive 3-0 lead against Lincoln Land. We might not be done just yet, as if the clock remains to tick away at this 3-0 scoreline, we very well could be heading to a game 5.
Oh, definitely the way that Morningside has been playing, but we'll hold that thought here as Wonka does get a great 50-50. We'll put it back into the Morningside nets off of that one, sensing the aggression that Morningside is bringing you because you brought it in the first place. And then taking that back one step at a time. 1:45 left on the clock for Lincoln Land in their closeout game. And they will be just within 2 goals. Maybe a chance to strike off the kickoff, too. We know that they can strike quickly, but a good recovery there from Mr. Camo Chicken in his own net to fight that one off.
Absolutely, with 1:30 left on the clock. Lincoln Land is back within striking distance. We talk about this all the time. A 3-goal lead, that's when people start to hang their heads a little bit. But once you get back within 2, that's a real chance and real opportunity. And with 1:20 left to go, still plenty of time for Lincoln Land to come together and equalize.
No doubt, and winning the 50-50s in midfield will help. Beefcake did end up the better, the 2 opportunities there on the 50-50. A quick turn there from Lincoln Land as well. That'll set up Wonka, who's already on this one. Although he will run out of boost, he will grab a 12, try to go for a bump here. Leave it for Cyber. Doesn't quite get what he wanted to off that one, so Digital going to put it right back in their faces. Forcing Relic up for this one. They try to come back down for a pinch, and the 50 will be 1. And Relic is trying to do it by himself now. Sets up a teammate as well. towards the back wall, but Beefcake has no issues with this one. He'll play it off the back wall. The corner now. Crosses Wonka. Good challenge here. Nobody to really follow up as Relic had been recovering the whole time. It's a pop to himself, but it's been an excellent job, or it has been an excellent effort here from Morningside on the defensive side to try to hang in this one. But not out of harm's way quite yet. A miss there, Relic trying to play it back in, just keeping them at an arm's length. We said it earlier, in Morningside doing the same here for Lincoln Land as we tick down to 10 seconds.
The final 10 seconds to go. Still not looking good for Lincoln Land as Morningside is going to maintain the possession. And Relic is going to be hitting this one up and high, but it's all but over except the crying here in game number 4. It's going to be Morningside to take this one 3-1.
Oh, it's been exciting. This entire series has. And Morningside, of course, keeping with it, but also riding the momentum. So they'll be heading into game 5. Obviously, the victor of this game 4. So trying to build and establish that same presence they had. You said, how do you fight that aggression? Well, really, it was aggression of their own, right? Kind of mock and play to their style. I don't always recommend that at Soka. I don't always recommend playing your opponent's game. But when you can match it the way they have been, their decision-making has been as good as it has been, then keep doing what made you successful in the first place. We see you all joining us in chat as well, and we appreciate you being here, and it's a Game 5, so you've definitely come at the right time at Soka. This Game 5 is going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely litty as we get ready to head into this game 5, of course, between Morningside and Lincoln Land. And the back and forth has been nothing short of entertaining because you got to keep in mind, Morningside, we already know, is a very defensive-heavy team. They're going to run your offense ragged because they're going to get save after save after save. You go to demo them, they're going to jump out the way. But the thing about Morningside is that you cannot let them score early on you, which is what happened with Lincoln Land just now. Morningside was able to get those 3 go-ahead goals early, and then they were able to hold on to it because they have such extraordinary defensive prowess. So going into this one, Lincoln Land is going to have to play a little bit more defense of their own if they want to avoid Morningside taking that early lead.
And that definitely works both ways as well with the game number 5 because you flip the coin and the same thing happens where Lincoln Land grabs 2 goals. Either way, if you see 2 go in back to back, that's so discouraging in trying to make a comeback effort for sure. So either way, you want a strong start, but as long as you can get an answer back, if things don't go your way early, you may not be out of competition here. As this one will be a down the field transition themselves, but a good job from Lincoln Land to recognize the cherry picker and be able to challenge there to get the save here. As we are already 50 seconds in and more of the same, lots of defense.
And honestly, that's what I expect out of Morningside. But now that we're in game number 5 and everything is off the table, 2 games apiece, you're going to have to switch things up. You're going to have to change it around a little bit because Lincoln Land has had 4 total games to size you up and get your play style down to a T. So Lincoln Land now knows what to expect coming from Morningside, as now it is match point for both of these teams. And Lincoln Land, once again, taking to their guns and having an absolute shootout on the Morningside net.
Yes, they have been trying to press and force the issue that it has made them so successful in the 2 games they've won so far. They try to get right back to a place of that aggression. In fact, Cyber will have a great opportunity here. The 50 forces a double commit from Morningside. Not much more harm than that. Wonka jumping off the opponent's back and trying to get a bump and free up the space. A bit of a miss there. We'll leave it for Relic. He'll turn quickly and play to the sidewall. I allow the chance to really get back to this one. Digital works past one. This is another one of those 1v1 situations you pointed out. Digital, although not ultimately the victor of the 50-50, does leave it for Beef. We'll try pass. And although Mr. Camo Chicken was there in the slot, it was fought away nicely by the Lincoln Land defense, but again on their heels, Morningside continues that same aggression they stuck with in the last game. Wonka, quick turn, and fought up yet again from the defensive Morningside.
Once again, we're just seeing Morningside really put that stranglehold on the defensive side of things. They're staying in their net. They're clocking save after save after save, running the clock now. And once again, we see ourselves at halftime with a 0-0 scoreline. And to me, the reason being is because Lincoln Land is playing too polite. You need to get a little mean. You need to start getting in their faces, getting some bumps, getting some demo plays. Because like we see from Beefcake, Barada, they're not afraid to get in your face. They're not afraid to demo you. They're not afraid to bump you out of rotation. And honestly, we just need to see that come from Lincoln Land Land because they spend so much time in Morningside territory, and all they do is allow Morningside to come up with saves. Once again, to only further my point, Morningside picks up a demo against Lincoln Land.
Exactly right, and trying to free up, but eventually you don't want to play too much defense if you're Morningside either. Got to find that right balance, but both teams are really, looking to find that balance. We're down to 150 and still deadlocked here at 0 as Relic to try and force the issue here on Digital. Will get an extra touch here, but in rotation, Mr. Camo will wait for the 50-50, play directly back into the zone of Lincoln Land. Here's that opportunity you're talking about, where it may be a chance to jump out and get a bump, but again, nobody really forward, as Lincoln Land kind of looks like they're sitting on their heels a bit and just not out in front of the play. They're not really anticipating the play like we saw in their games number 1 and 3.
Well, you have to keep in mind, Lincoln Land is coming off of a loss now, but we see the solo play coming out from Wonka, who is going to have the golden ticket to give their team the 1-goal lead.
Love that. And also, what a read. Oh, my. Man, you expect to see that from the challengers, right? Division, right? The top cream of the crop, right? Of the talent that's in NECC. But to see that kind of read, wow. In a clutch moment, too. Just a minute and 15 seconds left on the clock. Able to come up with a huge goal. That was absolutely outstanding. What a read. Oh, a chance, though, the other way. Digital able to even it a 1. A minute 2 left on the clock. And just as clutch, you see one go in the back of your net, like I said, you have to get a quick answer, and that's what they did.
And remember, this is the dynamic duo that we saw in game number 4 that came up big to get that dub there, and they're showing up again. It's a Digital Vertex and, of course, Mr. Camo Chicken doing the work and getting the pass plays done to tie this one up. But now, a good play from Relic has plenty of time, but it will be Beefcake Barada being the anchor for their team and holding them down on the defensive side, as once again, Morningside will avoid the danger and send this one back to Lincoln Land.
And Relic will try to pick up from there for Lincoln Lands and push it directly back in the zone where the corner's there. Relic turns a shot, but Beefcake again, the freshman, standing on his head on the goal line, able to make a save, but Wonka will challenge it back in their face, right in the box. Oh, a chance for Wonka to get the bump. It's there on the goal line, but somehow doesn't find its way in, as we're down to 22 seconds left on the clock now. And a chance for Lincoln Land as they try to press in, but Mr. Camo answers this one, and now a push for Morningside.
Yeah, and once again, with the final 10 seconds on the ball, Bear, if I'm capping, say captain's capping, because once again, we saw Lincoln Land with a perfect opportunity. They took a shot on net, but it was literally just Relic on that side alone. An isolated player with no teammate there to try and get a rebound and put it back on target. What we're seeing from Lincoln Land is very high precise, high percentage shots, but that's all they take is that one shot. There's no follow-up. If Lincoln Land wants to try and take this game away from Morningside, they're going to have to start putting on a lot more pressure and trying to get more rebounds.
No doubt about it. Beefcake tried to sidestep that opportunity as well, or the defender rather. And Relic is backwards in this opportunity. Does a great job to get a flick off. The Morningside will keep it directly there in the Lincoln Land ends. It'll be Digital. He'll turn, use the corner here. Wonka had to avoid a bump. It's there. It's available. Beef gonna put it away. Morningside wins 2-1 in overtime in Game 5.
And honestly, this is literally what this team has done from the very beginning. This has been the script. This has been their formula for Morningside since game number 1. And that's Mr. Camo Chicken and Digital Vortex shaking things up, putting the defense out of position, and then Beefcake coming in for cleanup to find the back of the net. It has been the formula since game 1, and it is what is won them the game here in OT in game number 5. Congratulations to Morningside. Well played, honestly, all around on both sides.
Yeah, I agree, because Lincoln Land came out exactly how we expected them to, aggressive, and they were hitting their marks. They were very mechanically talented. You could tell. Relic was an absolute superstar. Wonka showed up in the right moments, but it was Morningside with their bumps and demos, right? How do you get around the aggression? Be aggressive yourself. Jump out in front, get the bumps, demos. No coincidence you saw a demo and a bump there on the very tail end of things in overtime to finish it out in at Soka. I'm so glad I got to close out this day with you, because a great series to begin with, and we got to witness a great Game 5 overtime to finish the night.
Well, it has been a fantastic day of casting, I have to say. Went all 4 games, and honestly, it flew by. Like, it went by so quickly.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we are getting to wrap things up here after this spectacular day of some collegiate Rocket League right here at the NECC. But Bearlight, before we go, do you have any final adieus?
I want to thank everybody behind the scenes. I feel like they don't get enough credit. The production here at NECC, who does a great job with observing, producing the whole nine. Solid team. Always a pleasure to be in the booth with you as well, Captain Atsoka. And of course, for those of you in chat, well, we wouldn't be here without your viewership too. So big shout out to each and every one of you guys. You can follow me on Twitter at Bearlight Gaming, as well as you find me on the Charlotte Phoenix streams, the Stay Plugged In streams as well, high school recruitment leagues. If you want to check them out, a great partner for NECC as well. And like I said, thank you so much for coming in and viewing this stream.
Absolutely. And once again, I've been your host this evening here at NECC Rocket League. My name is Captain Atsoka. If you look down there, you can find me on Twitter at Captain Atsoka. And until next time, I hope you all have a great night and good evening.